Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of puppets, diving into some really fresh Franconian lager. I can't wait. It's been a minute. On Bon Hondo's lager, but that was not Franconian level lager. So these were some beers I got just before going on vacation. I got these with the help of Jason. So thanks a ton to Jason for helping get the beers. I picked them up on Bieren aus Franken, a fantastic web shop I've used a couple times now, where I think they have the best selection of Franconian beer and they get a lot of the seasonal varieties that you don't find anywhere else. But unfortunately, they do not ship outside of Germany. So guys, please look into shipping outside of Germany so that people can get the beer instead of having to rely on friends in Germany. Because I know a lot of people, when they see these reviews and they hear me praise these Franconian beers, they're like, oh man, how do you get that? So it would be amazing if more people could get to try the wonders that is Franconian beer. But the best way to do it is to go there because they're fragile beers. Not all places have great packaging. So sometimes you get beer and you buy it from somewhere and it's like 6-8 months old. These are fragile beer styles lagers. They need to be drunk quite fresh. So this is a brewery that Jason actually recommended to try, and I missed it last time I was in Bamberg and the Franconian, the area around Bamberg, Oberfranken, Unterfranken. And this is Brauerei Eichhorn in Dörfleins. It's a brewery that Jason really loves. And I actually think he's bringing this one. I think he might be bringing one of the Eichhorn beers for Bad Seed Beer Fest. He's going to have his own Franconia stand. Talked about this a little bit about this in a couple videos. I have the list somewhere. I think he said he would bring one of these beers. But I actually recommended Nils Christian from A Word on Beers and also Orm Öl, the podcast, to check out the brewery. He did and he loved it. And what's funny is like he just did a podcast on Orm Öl with Anna Solsen where they tried some Zentner and some Schlenkerla. Thanks a ton for the shout outs, guys. But listening to that, when I was just hanging out with my kids and that was just on in the background. I was like, when you girls are asleep, I fucking need some Franconian lager. It just had my mouth watering. So shout out to the guys. They have a great podcast. Let's drink some Franconian lager. We got two varieties from Eichhorn. These were the ones they had available when I ordered on the Bier aus Franken webshop. And it's their Kellerbier and the Schwarzer Adler, Dunkles Vollbier. Kellerbier, you might know, lower CO2, unfiltered, young beer. There's so many varieties in Franconia. It will say Lagerbier, ungespundet beer, all these things, Beer. I've talked about it. The varieties are subtle, but they're not, the broad term that most other people know these kind of beers are, as are killer beers, these unfiltered lager beers. Although this is, it's a little bit hazy. I think most of the yeast is settled to the bottom in my fridge. That is pretty damn cold. So that's 5%, and the Schwarzer Adler is a Dunkel lager on 6%, so quite strong Dunkel. But we're going to start with the Kellerbier, and I could smell this as soon as I popped it, so I am looking forward to it. I am really in a lager mood, so let's check it out. Pours a very, very pin bright golden yellow color, slight haze to it, slight green hue almost, and a frothy, fluffy looking white head, and a decent amount of CO2. It's big bubbles, so I'm guessing it said online it was ungespundet, so I'm thinking it's going to be lower in CO2 because of that. And then also, I think this is their best-selling beer or something like that. They call it the Spitzen something. But looks great. Let's check out the aroma. I almost don't want to talk. Just drinking right away. This is like, if you don't get that feeling with lagers, you really need to educate yourself more with the good stuff. Like, oh my Lord, I want to fucking just like, I'm holding on to this chair right now. Like, don't, wait. Like, holy shit, this smells great. Loads of vibrant, fresh malt character, fresh breadiness, light, fluffy wheat breads. So fluffy, the malt character. Oh, it smells very nice. A very nice, subtle, grassy undertone, switching into floral, citric nuances. A bit of spice, but it has the vibrancy. I preach. This is the vibrancy of great lager when it's fresh, and it's so hard to beat. And when it's done right, and they do it right in Franconia, and it's just some of the best lager in the world. Like, so many people are doing lagers that are rated better than a lot of these breweries' beers, which is nonsense. It's just because it's in Europe and they're classic breweries. Like, most of these beers that they're brewed like by Eichel Farmstead or by Suarez or some of the hyped lager brewers in the States, people would rate them, 4s, 4.5s. It smells great. It's actually surprisingly hoppy the more I smell it, but I'm just gonna drink now. Cheers. Thanks a ton, Jason. Wow. Oh, my Lord. I just don't want to talk. I just want to drink this pint and drink it really fast. That's really good. It's so singy and vibrant and really hoppy. It's almost a little bit Pils-like, or Franconian style Helles-like. It's definitely it's a really pale Kellerbier, which is awesome. It's very hop forward too. Wow, this is fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And I'm guessing this is a fairly fresh bottle. Like, they do really short shelf life. So it's usually like 3 months or 6 months or something. Like, if this is 3 months, then this was packaged in May. So it's only a 2-month-old bottle. But it also depends on how it's been stored and everything. This has been stored greatly. As soon as I got this, it's been in the fridge the entire time. Like, this feels a lot like drinking beers down there at the sources. But wow, I want to apply this to face. It has such an awesome layered, bright malt character, but on the same time, robust nuances, which I'm pretty sure could be due to some decoction mashing or just the malt there really fresh. A lot of brewers use some really small maltsters around the area, their local areas and whatnot. Like, there's a very famous one, Mayaman, but a lot of people there actually use smaller maltsters. They use some like the Bamberg Malting Company, which is really small, or there's another one nearby. But I think a lot of these guys also, maybe the key to it is also the freshness of the malt and like the freshness of the raw materials in general, being very strict about the quality. Just like American beers, like American hoppy brewers are very strict about, especially hops, hop selection, all this. I think a lot of these brewers are. They must be, because the hop flavor is phenomenal. It is so balanced but forward, which is lovely. There's this nice, drying, black, peppery, bitter finish, but there's so much fruitiness and everything. But it's never too much. Like, it's never IPA-ish, but it's so forward anyways. It's crackery, the malt as well, really crackery, but also that fluffy kind of wheat bread sensation to this. Just like, almost think like supermarket airy crazy breads. Like, not artisanal breads. And I get sometimes that in these kind of beers, which can be nice. Like, it's almost brioche-like without the buttery notes. That's why I'm thinking like fluffy supermarket wheat bread almost. Like, what do they call those super fluffy Hawaiian rolls maybe? It's certainly light malt character. But then there's that edge of robustness, almost like a little bit of a digestive cracker or a graham cracker. Just like lightly, just to give some complexity, which must be decoction. Such a lovely hop flavor on this. It's not like overtly hoppy. It's not the most hoppy Kellerbier. It's not as hoppy as some of the other, like, there are some beers that are more hoppy down in Franconia. I think like Wagner has a couple beers that are fairly hoppy for classic beer, and also Knoblauch has some fairly hoppy ones. But this just strikes that balance, similar to something like Zentner in terms of hop character, I think. So let's move on to the Schwarzer Adler, Dunkles Vollbier, Dunkellager, I guess also called Munich Dunkel. One of the fun things is that at one point this was one of my least favorite styles. I really did not like Munich Dunkels, but I have turned around and I enjoy them now, especially if it's not the very sweet kind. So this one is strong, 6%. Not too often you see beers of that strength in this category. But pours a nice dark brown color. Looks like a Dunkellager. Some reddish tones, chestnutty tones in the bottom of the glass. Slightly beige head. Let's check out the aroma on this one. And I poured way too much beer in just to get some head. I think this has a little lower CO2 than the Kellerbier. Oh, surprisingly hoppy smelling. Like quite grassy and floral. Very nutty as well. It's almost like the brown ale of the lager world. Like nutty, toasted brown bread. almost like a little bit in Sweden. A lot of these brown breads they have, they're not rye breads. They're like, they look a bit like rye breads, but they're fluffier. I don't remember the names. We have one in the cupboard right now. And then you take a bite of it, it looks like a rye bread. And then it's slightly sweet, like a slight brown sugar tone. I'm getting that here too. But lots of nuttiness, even maybe a hint of coconut, not chocolate, but coconut and coffee. Surprising, it smells really good. Let's try it, cheers. Ooh. That is interesting. It's quite different than your average Munich Dunkel. It's a little bit more hoppy. It's not like really hoppy, but I feel like there's a little bit more bitterness, a little more like grassy, almost like a little bit of a bright hop character. Very dry as well, but a little bit of a fluffiness to it in the end. That's a good Dunkel. Again, I prefer the pale lagers to the darker ones still, unless we are talking the strong stuff. But I'm really starting to change my mind on those Dunkel. As I said in the past, you're like, yeah, it's the brown ale. Like, I used to also not be the biggest fan of brown ales on this, were like imperial strength and barrel aged with adjuncts and stuff like that. But I'm even starting to see appeal in brown ale now. Like, I'm getting over some of the things in the past where I was like, yeah, I don't like that too much. Maybe it's also sometimes because I never had the best examples. But this is really good Dunkel lager. It doesn't have the same wow effect on me as the Kellerbier did, because that was fucking, I want to drink that beer again. That is one of those kind of bucket list Franconia beers, I'd say, just judging by some of the recent beers I had. It's fire. It makes me want, just that beer alone makes me want to try their entire range. And when you get a beer like that, you know, like, it's rare. It's rare. So that's why you should check out their entire range. When they do one that's really fucking great, then it's like, okay, they probably do other great things. But really toasty, really nutty, this one. Lots of that brown bread. Bit of a brown sugar note. It's almost like you got like some of those Swedish brown breads. Or just a rustic kind of whole grain bread with a little sprinkling of brown sugar on top. Like, not butter, but I can't remember what it's called here. There's like down south in Denmark, there's a thing where you put sugar and butter on toast. But it's something like that, almost like a little bit French toast. Like if the toast you use for French toast was like a more rustic whole grain bread. And then like when you smell like a coconut nib, it's that kind of thing that's going on. It's not necessarily like chocolatey, fudgy chocolate. It's just like this more nutty coconut nibby thing. And the slightest hint of coffee, which is really nice. It's actually really nutty, like a little bit of a hazelnut or something like that. And then I love that it's dry. It's not too bitter, so the malts shine quite well. And the more I drink it, the more the malt shine and the hops become the backdrop. But there's a little bit of that grassiness carrying throughout. That's also really, really nice. And the battery died because I'm rambling way too much in these videos when I get all excited about the quality of great lager. But great stuff. Again, the Kellerbier Spitzenklasse, awesome. First few sips, I was thinking world class, early world class. Much more bright, much more singy, really, really crushable. Like especially if you like hops as well, this is really good. It's well balanced with the hops. It's an awesome brighter Kellerbier. I mean, when is the last time I did a video of Franconian beers where I actually downed a whole half a liter bottle in a review? I can't remember. I liked it a little bit more with less yeast in. And I think it's just get a half liter glass and then get everything in, and you'll get a more cohesive blend of yeast and beer, because just those first few drops were lovely, world class. 95, maybe a 94 with the yeast. I would love to drink that beer again. That was lovely. And the Schwarzer Adler is also really good. As you can see, I've drunk a whole lot less of this. That was just because I was too excited about the Kellerbier. I was just like going nuts. But that is just a lovely pint of Dunkel lager. I love that it has like a little bit of that coffee nuances and everything, almost roasty. Very good and dry, not sweet. And in terms of grade for this one, also early 90s, 92, something like that. This is really good. A brewery to watch. Man, I need to try more beer from Eichhorn in Dörfleins. And next time I am in Franconia, this is a brewery I need to visit because this magnifique, or as you would say in German, sehr schön. Schönes Bier here. Very, very lovely stuff. So if you guys had a chance to try either of these, let me know what you thought of them. If you've tried beers from this fantastic brewery, Eichhorn and Dörfleins, let me know what you thought of their beers. And as always, comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page, Twitter, and Instagram, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I want to say cheers and thanks a ton to Jason for helping me get these beers on Bier aus Franken. And say cheers and see you guys in another beer review.